going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. And today, on this lovely Friday, unfortunately, the Madden online servers are down, which means I can't play any of my franchise modes, which makes me a little disappointed. But we can still log in offline here and continue with the 2020 NFL Draft 32-team 7-round mock draft series. We're on team number 9, the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that is in tank mode, maybe? I don't know if they're completely in tank mode. I think they are. I think you're getting ready. If you're going to hashtag Duval, you got to pretty much put hashtag tank for Trevor right next to it. The Jags have made a lot of shocking moves. Maybe not so shocking, because it was expected they were going to have to, dump a lot of their big contracts off this season. But I think just, the value they got for Calais Campbell was not particularly good. The value they got from A.J. Boye, the teams knew they were selling. So unfortunately, they probably didn't get the best draft picks back. They got rid of Nick Foles as well, which is an Eagle fan that is pretty much red flag. Well, yeah, let's take a look here for the mock draft I have as of the 3rd of, what month is this? January, February, March, April 3rd. What their team looks like on paper, and we're going to use the world of Madden to kind of describe that. So look at here, Minshew is their quarterback. Now, I like the Minshew memes as much as anyone. I thought he was an exciting quarterback, but is he really the option here, or are they going to let him be the starter because they know that with him as a starter, they're probably going to have a top 3 pick next year to get a Trevor Lawrence or a Justin Fields? Probably that's the case. So, I mean, in the scenario that Gardner Minshew can really establish himself as a starting NFL quarterback, I don't want to say that. He's already kind of established himself as a franchise quarterback. That's fine and good. That's awesome. It's a perfect fit there. But if not, I think that, he can lead them to an exciting but disappointing season next year. One that's it's going to be worth watching because you can always see what Minshew's doing. But performance-wise, you're going to play yourself into a scenario most likely that you can draft one of the big-name quarterbacks next year and then either keep Minshew as a backup or try to cash in and send him away somewhere else to see if he can be on a starter, and then you require some, recoup some draft assets. They got Fournette as the starting running back. You got Chark, who's established himself last year. Great chemistry with Gardner Minshew as a wide receiver 1 on the outside. You got D.D. Westbrook that can play in the slot. Marquise Lee, this point in his career, they got some guys here. There's no dominant receiver, but I don't think they're too shabby. I'm telling you right now, I don't have them taking a wide receiver in the first round because I think their wide receivers are fine. They could use another body. They could use a complement because what they don't have is a possession guy. They got a speedster. They got a slot. Marquise Lee's a slot. Garyon Conley, kind of a speedster. Keelan Cole, more of a possession guy. So then what do you do? I mean, he had that one big catch one time, but you don't have that big guy that can box out opposing corners and catch the jump ball. They don't have that legit red zone threat. Even though DJ Chark's tall does not equal jump ball ability, and he is every bit of the word a pure deep threat type player. So we'll fix that. We'll fix that. Then you look at the offensive line. It's a work in progress. One of those things, man. I don't know how Doug Marrone has a job. Doug Marrone is an offensive line background, and Norwell did not look particularly well last year. Linder was Cam Robinson, So, if I'm honestly, you're going to gamble that you're not going to give up on Norwell Linder, that they're going to be able to turn around. Last year was just a down year. Jawan Taylor out of Florida actually looks like a pretty solid pick. So, there's 2 spots on this O-line. I don't know if you want to give up on Cam Robinson yet. There still is some upside there. And again, what is Marrone there for? You're going to see in this mock draft, I've talked with some Jags fans. They think they should go tackle early, offensive line early. Their O-line was not great last year. But when you have someone like Doug Marrone, that should give you the benefit. What is his redeeming quality? He's an offensive line guy, so you should be able to not spend premium picks on linemen and have him find out what guys will work well in his scheme that he can develop, and that's your advantage. That is what he offers. That's what he should offer. When you look at his resume, it's like, I don't need a first, second, third round pick on a lineman because we have a guy he got a head coaching job as an O-line coach, right? So he should be able to get day 3 picks on the offensive line and find ways to develop them. So that's kind of how I approach this draft. And I'm sorry, that's how I'm going to have to do it because your head coach is an O-line coach. That's what he has to do. Or else, why does he have a head coaching job, right? Because clearly he's not good at anything else. But moving on, they got Eifert. They brought in Eifert. I mean, if he could stay healthy, that's a solid tight end signing, but they don't really have a long-term tight end play. Josh Oliver was disappointing last year at San Jose State. I wouldn't say you can close the book on him, but he might not ever be a tight end 1, maybe more so tight end 2 complementary option. Going to the defense, that looks drastically different than the defense that was a game away from going to the Super Bowl. We will start on the front. They get Ngakoue for the time being. It looks like they're eventually going to ship him away, which is going to be a massive hole. You got Al Woods, you got Taven Bryan, Aber Jones. Taven Bryan's just, I don't know, it sucks. He was never really a first-round caliber player, I said, as a Gator fan, but I thought he would still be a second-round player. And even if they got him in the second round, what he's done so far in the NFL will be disappointing. So that kind of sucks. Josh Allen was a phenomenal pick, though. Excellent pick. He's going to be a franchise defensive end for him unless they find a way to piss him off like they pissed off every other star player they've had. But Tom Coughlin's out of the building, so hopefully that will be a thing of the past. In the secondary, you got DJ Hayden, Darquise Dennard coming over from the Bengals, Melvin coming over from, can't remember from where, Jacksonville. No, he's Jacksonville to Detroit, maybe? Trey Herndon. I mean, their secondary is, obviously, it's not Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Boye. There's no other way around it. The safety, you got Ronnie Harrison. You got Jared Wilson, average safeties. At the linebacking core, you paid big money for Joe Schobert. $21 million guaranteed for a linebacker that is kind of more traditional than not. But you look at the box. He's one of those linebackers he's good. He's not great. You look at the box score stats, you see the sacks, you see the interceptions, the tackles. You can say he's amazing. He does not play up to his box score, but he still is a pretty damn good solid tackler. If they can find a way, if he's still alive, to get Telvin Smith back, I think Telvin Smith, Miles Jack, and Joe Schobert, that's a pretty damn good linebacking core. Even just these two with Schobert and Matt controlling. He run a lot of nickel, having just these two on the field. They complement each other, for sure. Miles Jack being able to be the cover guy, Schobert being more the in-the-box run stuffer. So that is the Jags roster where it's at right now. Where can they get better? Pretty much everywhere, I think. There's no dominant. I guess I would say the defense needs to get rebuilt. You know, they got to retool the defense, and I'm looking at my mock draft. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of the first 6 picks I have going on the defensive side of the ball. So let's see what we can do. Without further ado, let's get into the 7-round mock draft, 2020 draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we are finally on the clock at pick number 9 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, where I am selecting Derek Brown, defensive tackle from Auburn, 6'5", 320 pounds, one of the safest players in this draft. A perfect interior defensive lineman who, I don't care what year it is, he's going top 10. He's a top 10 talent in the last 5 drafts, in the last 10 drafts. He is not just a pure run stuffer. While it is the strength of his game, you could just see the explosiveness he can get in the backfield. And I think as he continues to develop into a true complete interior defensive lineman and developing a pass rush moveset, he's going to be one of the best defensive players in the NFL, I think, when his rookie contract is up. At least defensive tackles. And what he does is going to instantly improve the Jacksonville Jaguars' run defense day one. This is a defensive line that has lost their identity. No more Calais Campbell. No more Marcel Darius. No more Malik Jackson. No more, let's be honest, it's only a matter of time. No more Yannick Ngakoue. This is a defensive line that just has a really good young pass rusher in Josh Allen, and that's it. You bring in Derek Brown. You continue to keep that identity for the Jacksonville Jaguars that they can win in the trenches on the defensive line. You bring in a guy like Derek Brown, not only is he just going to be amazing, but it's a twofer because he is going to indirectly and directly make Josh Allen that much better. Teams got to pick and choose. You get a double team Derek Brown. You get a double team Josh Allen. It's a win-win, and I think Josh Allen's ceiling is sky high. And, well, it does sting if I'm a Jags fan that we're pretty much losing Yannick Ngakoue. You might be able to recoup another first-round pick. We might have to remock for the Jags before we're said and done. I don't necessarily think they have the leverage to get a first-round pick. But Derek Brown is absolutely the pick I think can play here at number 9. It's a safe pick. And a team like Jacksonville that's losing a lot of veterans, they have got to hit on at least one of these 2 first-round picks. And I think Derek Brown is that much of a gimme. Going to the second first-round pick at pick 20, I'm selecting Trayvon Diggs, corner from Alabama, 6'2", 205 pounds. Yes, he is the brother of new Buffalo Bill Stephon Diggs. So you saw a lot of, genetics. It's a genetically gifted family. But I think he's just such a perfect fit. Now, he's not a guy, right? He's a guy that if you look at mock drafts, he's kind of in the first round, kind of out of the first round. But I think when you were looking for an outside corner, a guy that's not going to be predominantly viewed as a slot at the next level, which almost, goddamn, it feels like 95% of the corners in this year's draft do, that's going to be added value to Trayvon Diggs. He's a zone cover corner who projects to hit the ground running, developing into the replacement, more likely for A.J. Boye than it is a Jalen Ramsey. I don't think even Jeff Okudah, I still can't compare him to Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey was the best corner prospect I've ever seen since I've been kind of watching football and doing the draft. But a little bit more appropriate, a little bit more realistic to say, hey, if we can get what we had out of A.J. Boye, that one year we went to the championship game, from Trayvon Diggs, I'm going to be ecstatic. And he fits the Jacksonville Jaguars scheme, and his aggressiveness will make him a fan favorite sooner than later. So you see some of those converted wide receiver traits every now and again. He was a high school, I think he was recruited actually to Alabama as a wide receiver. But I think for just how well of a fit he is for this Jacksonville Jaguar defense. They ran a lot of zone. That's kind of one of the reasons why Jalen Ramsey wanted out of there. It makes a whole lot of sense there. It's a team that has their secondary is not particularly good. I would tell you right now, I would take Trayvon Diggs over any corner they have on the roster right now. Give me him over Rashawn Melvin, DJ Hayden, friggin' Darqueze Dennard, Trey Herndon. Yeah, give me Trayvon Diggs at pick 20. Going to the second round at pick 42, I'm selecting Michael Pittman Jr., wide receiver from USC, 6'4", 220 pounds. Now, I have PTSD when we talk about Pac-12 wide receivers. I have PTSD when I talk about USC wide receivers. So it pains me to kind of feel like Michael Pittman's being a little bit underrated this year because there's going to be some guys that slip just because of this insane depth, especially at the top end of the wide receiver class here. You know, we get the Ruggs, you got the Lambs, you got the Jerry Judys, and then you got that little next tier of like, is it going to be Justin Jefferson, Denzel Mims? And then you got that next tier of guys that, you know, they could have stuck into the first round any of the last 3 years. I think Michael Pittman's kind of in that territory. He's 6'4". He's an outside possession receiver who complements what the Jacksonville Jaguars currently have at their wide receiver core. You have your deep threat in DJ Chark. You have your slot guy in Dede. You got Marquise Lee's also kind of a slot, short, intermediate guy. But they don't have that big outside body. And that's exactly what you get in Michael Pittman. Jacked, 6'4", 220. But then he surprised at the combine with a 4.52 at the 40-yard dash. So he brings size, he brings speed. I think in the second round, this is tremendous value for what the Jacksonville Jaguars are lacking at corner. And like I said, man, I hate to say it because he's a USC wide receiver, but I think he's underrated. Last year, USC had 100 catches, almost 1,300 yards, and 11 touchdowns. That was with a guy that was a backup quarterback. Even though Slovis looks like he's going to be, you know, pretty damn good, he was kind of thrown in the mix. It wasn't like it was the starting quarterback that they had, JT Daniels. He got hurt, and then he still performed with the backup, even though the backup is kind of good. But it's still, you know, the optics of it remain the same. So I think him, like I said, complimenting him and Chark on the outside. You have Dede running the slot. That's a pretty damn good wide receiver core, I think, for Gardner Minshew next season. Going to the third round at pick 73, I was selecting Ashton Davis, safety from Cal, 6'1", 200 pounds, a cover safety with good athleticism who can push, I think, Gerard Wilson for the starting free safety gig sooner than later. And he also could add some slot reps in base nickel. A lot of people do rant and rave that his coverage ability looks pretty good. It definitely does pop on tape. Tackling's not so great. You see him whiff on a couple tackles here and there, which, you know, you kind of want your slot guys to be able to tackle every now and again. But I just think he's a versatile defensive back that when you look at the safeties on the roster right now, you have Ronnie Harrison, the third-round pick in 2018, starting at strong safety. But at free safety, Jared Wilson was fine last year. He was average, which is, I mean, obviously, if you have a lot of the inconsistent play on the Jags, average was not that bad. But I think a guy like Ashton Davis in the third round comes in, competes for that starting free safety gig, and has a much higher ceiling than Jared Wilson. Going to the fourth round, pick 116. I was selecting Alex Highsmith, defensive end from Charlotte, 6'4", 250, a twitchy, small school edge rusher who will offer immediately a nice rotational edge rushing reps. I think he's going to be able to, you know, he helped himself. He helped himself. He's one of the few defensive ends. I actually was kind of disappointed with some of the defensive ends at this year's Combine and Senior Bowl, but he is one of those guys that has helped himself with a solid Combine. Athletically, you know, he's above average to maybe good, but it was the drills. He stood out a lot during the drills during the Combine. A lot of reports from the Senior Bowl said he was another one of the guys that was a riser there. And I think you look at his 2019 stats for Charlotte, obviously it's small school, but he had 75 tackles, 21 TFLs, and 15 sacks. You pair that with a guy that projects to be, you know, maybe develop into just a solid edge rusher. That is very, very nice here for the Jacksonville Jaguars because, let's be honest, it's going to be the Dwayne Smooch show sooner than later when Yannick Ngakoue gets traded. So I think Highsmith coming in as a rookie, being able to give you some rotational reps, it's just more insurance at that defensive end position, which is going to be that much more uncertain beyond Josh Allen once Yannick Ngakoue's situation gets resolved, which is most likely going to be a trade away. Going to their second, fourth round pick at 137, I'm selecting Antonio Gibson, running back, wide receiver, offensive weapon, whatever you want to call it, from Memphis. 6'1", 230 pounds. He is a freaky athlete, a versatile offensive weapon. Played slot wide receiver, played a little bit of running back, so he's still learning the position, but he is absolutely a guy that you want in the building. Leonard Fournette has been banged up with injuries. There's always been this contract stuff. You know, you got Raquel Armstead at a Temple in the fifth round. You know, even then, there's still, I would take a guy like Antonio Gibson who can just do a lot of things well on the offense, has a very high ceiling, brings special teams ability. He's an insane athlete. Literally, he can catch the ball well. He's a home run style runner. I think they said he had 77 touches in college, and he had 14 touchdowns on it. That's insanity. And you're like, wow. And he's 230? Is he like, what is he? 230, like that's a big running back. That's a gigantic wide receiver. Oh, he ran a 4.39? Huh. Like he might not be here in the 4th round. If you're looking just for like the ultimate weapon on offense that you can mold, it's him this year. Antonio Gibson is that guy. It just doesn't make sense. Unreal upside, and I think that when you view it from the Jags, he's going to be more so a running back, gives you some more running back depth behind Leonard Fournette, his availability has been inconsistent in his NFL career. It's just a big-time playmaker there. Depending on, doesn't even matter how they line him up. Just find a way to get him the ball. He's going to make plays. Going to their last 4th-round pick at 140, Island selecting Colby Parkinson, tight end from Stanford, 6'7", 250 pounds. He had a phenomenal combine. I think when you look at the combine drills, he looked as good, if not the best tight end that walked away from the NFL scouting combine. The Jacksonville Jaguars need to find a long-term option at tight end. Tyler Eifert isn't it. Josh Oliver was just disappointing last year for being a 3rd-round pick in 2019. So if you kind of view Eifert as like a Band-Aid, Josh Oliver is a long-term play. Getting a guy like Colby Parkinson that maybe long-term could pair with Josh Oliver, I think that is the play. But ultimately, you need to find your guy. You brought in Tyler Eifert. He has the name value. Sure, he had a year or two that was really good with the Bengals. But when was the last time he played a full 16 games? There's a good likelihood that if this is the Jags depth chart right now at tight end, Eifert gets hurt again, then you're going with Josh Oliver and some more questions than answers when you have him as your starter. You get a guy like Colby Parkinson, 6'7", 250, pure receiver at this point, but has that body, has that frame. Hey, you got an offensive line head coach. Should be able to coach him up on run blocking, establish some sort of that, some grassroots of becoming a complete tight end. The frame is there. I think Colby Parkinson can develop into a very nice tight end prospect for a team that hasn't had a tight end since Mercedes Lewis. Going to the 5th round at 165. Oh, sorry. Didn't they have that basketball guy? Julius Thomas. Yeah, that worked out well. Anyways, moving on to the 5th round at 165. I'm selecting Jacob Phillips, linebacker from LSU, 6'3", 230. I think he's going to be Sam linebacker depth in competition with Leon Jacobs. Phillips is a very explosive developmental linebacker who will be able to contribute on special teams immediately as a rookie, a 4.66, a 39-inch vert, shown out that explosiveness. Obviously was one of the more unknown, unheralded players on that LSU championship defense, but still a very solid prospect that kind of fits the Sam, what a Sam linebacker in the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is kind of looking to do. Going to the 5th round. Is this another 5th round pick? It is. At 170, I'm selecting Nate Stanley, quarterback from Iowa, 6'5", 240 pounds, prototypical NFL quarterback, NFL pocket passer, comes from a pro-style offense at Iowa. He's a high-level backup ceiling, which comes into play assuming what I said at the beginning of the video, that they're going to tank this year, maybe next year, get their quarterback right, and then you ship off Minshew to a team that thinks, hey, maybe he could be our starter, maybe a high backup. And then you have Nate Stanley to be the backup to Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. It's kind of the long-term play here. Nate Stanley has a lot of the traits that look like, yeah, he'll be a solid backup. He'll be a guy that looks, okay during the preseason. And if he has to come in for a game or two during the regular season, he can come in and execute an offense. High IQ and coming from a pro-style offense with his NFL size are the strengths of Nate Stanley. Not an incredibly accurate passer, under 60% completion percentage in his career, but I just think it's a really, really nice quarterback to have in a quarterback room that is desperately looking to find some stability. And then finishing up the draft, the 6th, we have 2 6 and a 7th. Finally, this is where Doug Barone can flex his I'm an O-line coach muscles and develop some tackles and some guards. So in the 6th round, I pick 189. I'm selecting Justin Herron, offensive tackle from Wake Forest, 6'4", 305, developmental lineman whose pass protection is the biggest strength of his skill set. And it should probably keep him as a tackle, but he does have size limitations that could push him inside to a guard. Again, we're getting ready for a run on offensive lineman. It's Doug Marrone. Come on, let's start developing some of these guys. This is where the Jags find you to be the ace in the hole while you're still head coaches. Hey, we should be able to get developmental guys that are going to develop because it's Doug Marrone. Going to the 2nd 6th round pick at 206, I'm selecting Calvin Throckmorton, offensive guard from Oregon, 6'4", 310. Now, he played tackle and guard. He's classified as a tackle, but if you watch the Senior Bowl, he was terrific at tackle, but he does have a pretty good skill set that should translate to a solid guard. He's a versatile lineman who should compete for offensive line depth and has experience, so he can be versatile. He can be that 6th lineman that can play a lot of spots, fill into a lot of spots on game day. His pass pro is his strength, and scouts rate his high football IQ. And then we're going to finish the draft in the 7th round with actually, I think, one of the best O-lineman value picks of day 3. And that's going to be at 223, Kevin Dotson, guard from Louisiana. 6'4", 310, a very decorated guard. He was Pro Football Focus first-team All-American last year, 2-time Sun Belt team. He's a mauler in the run game and should be one of the best value guard pickups on day 3. Absolutely should stick on the final 53. Has a whole lot of upside as that right guard spot needs to get rectified. Maybe there's some people that think maybe Norwell is not living up to that contract. He could be a cap casualty next offseason. So get these 3 linemen here. All these linemen have the one common trait of they have upside. You have Marone, O-line coach, should be able to tap into that upside, and that is why I did not invest a premium pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars on the offensive line. So there you go, guys. That is my 7th-round mock draft for the Jags. A little bit longer. I think they had the most picks in the draft, so hope you guys enjoyed it. Jags fans, let me know in the comment section below how you feel about this mock draft, and we'll be back probably tomorrow. Maybe we'll take a day off. I don't know yet with the 10th pick once we get to that. But thank you guys for watching. As always, your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.